Red 2 standing by, all for lit and in the green. Welcome back to Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, and we're off to the seaside. The trip to the seaside town is a fairly British pastime in all fairness. I mean, most people will wind up going to the beach in Australia, but it's more the trip to the town itself in Britain for some reason. But there are still some pretty beautiful seaside locations. You'll get a lot of entertainment out of going to places like Blackpool. In Heartbeat, which I used to watch as a kid, they'd often head up to Whitby, which is a bit further up north. But most of those places had pretty similar architecture, plenty of things to do. Some of them probably had a bit of a resurgence, maybe through the 1950s. But Spiller's Harbour is kind of the worst of those British seaside towns. Sort of almost every negative stereotype you can imagine, which I suppose is what happens when you let Gruntilda's lot run wild. We can talk to that peacock and wind up getting an ice cream, but we'll have a fair bit to do in terms of searching for notes and actually getting everything we need. The most important thing to do will be to grab the main moves we need in order to succeed travelling throughout this level, which means we'll probably have to head up to the main part of Spillerston itself. It's got a lot of those fairly British aspects. There's the council rotunda in the middle of the place. We've got a few entertainment sources we can undertake. These coins are necessary for our mini-game. We'll get to that in due time. Over here we have to deal with some bees that are very aggressive and will attack us if we get close. They do 2 honeycombs worth of damage, so probably best if we just leave that for a little while. And over here we can meet up with Mr. Ripovsky again, and we can also basically find what is sentient excrement. Perhaps some sort of cousin of the great mighty poo. I can't... What's a mother squid to do?
Why are you crying, Mrs. Squitter?
I think this is gonna be a big job, Banjo.
Kazooie! Is there anything we can do to help you get back to the sea?
Not a good spot to come from. Please, can you help me? My little squids and I are on an outing by the seaside and they won't come home without their treats.
Don't worry, Mrs. Squitter. We'll get your little ones moving in no time.
There are so many awful puns they make, given that we are, as I said, pretty much dealing with sentient excrement. Nowhere near as entertaining as the Great Mighty Pooh, unfortunately. Over here, this arcade machine, we can only do something with that once we have beaten the game. We need to hand this toy over to the little pile of excrement here.
Hey, little fella, you alright?
I'm in big trouble. I told my mommy I'd be straight back after I got a toy spaceship from the machine, only a nasty bird took it and put it where I can't reach it.
Don't worry, we'll find it for you. In fact, we've got it right here. I'd better wash my hands after touching this. I don't know where that's been, and I'm not particularly happy about that in all fairness, but I guess I'm the sort of guy who just helps people out.
So, the other thing we have to get is an ice cream. Some very well hidden notes behind the Jinjo Oracle. Kind of dodgy, but we should have enough to learn all the moves. Is it just because you live in a hole, or have you always had tunnel vision?
Since you brought the notes, I'll ignore that, Miss Seed for Brains. Now listen, if you see a green pad like the one next to me with a big ugly foot drawn on it, stand there and press A to launch yourself real high into the air. I call this the shock spring jump, because it'll be a shock for that bird to have some work to do.
You watch yourself, Boz-Eye. Oh, you are already.
Thanks for your help, Boz-Eye. See you later.
The reason that comes up is because, as I mentioned earlier, Boz-Eye is derived from boss-eyed, which was also sort of a slang term for cross-eyed. Anyway, we get the usual enemies chasing us, and we can head back down and wind up getting our next moves. One of them is near Mumbo's, and the other one is in the Bilge Haven, which is basically borrowing the palette from Breagle Beach. Mind you, we should stop off and get ourselves an ice cream from the Mr. Drippy van.
Am I glad to see you? The name's Alfred Peacock, and I've had no customers all week due to the birds. What can I get you?
Could I have Mr. Drippy Cone, please?
You sure can. I'll even throw in a free squirt of raspberry juice.
So there we are, one ice cream which we have to take out to one of the, well, literally little turds out at sea. They've somehow managed to get themselves on a ship in the port. So we'll need these eggs as a bit of, for the upcoming boss fight actually.
Nothing I like to see more than a load of sparkling notes.
I should think he's lucky to see anything.
Now, I've got a little something that'll come in handy against Grunty's flaming fiends. To use these arse eggs, swap to 'em with the R button. You be careful now, Kazooie. I wouldn't want one of these to get stuck in your tongue.
And you be careful I don't give you some frostbite on your way back down your hole.
Well, that's not very ice, Kazooie.
So our ice eggs will of course come in handy fighting Gruntilda because it's actually in Breagle Blaster mode. We can quickly get that done and sort of wrap up one of the more important things since we'll definitely need some transformation work from Mumbo. If we head out here, we can get those 5 notes, which are the only ones out in the water in the Bilge Haven. The rest of them need the shock jump. And let's wrap it up.
I just love the glow of a big pile of notes.
Does it help you find your way?
This should keep you quiet, Kazooie. Find yourself a red pad with a picture of a gold feather on it, stand on it, and press the A button to unleash the protective power of the Wonder Wing. Use this shield of gold feathers to destroy your attackers. You can cancel the Wonder Wing by pressing L.
Thanks, Buzzeye. That's great.
So, we used to be able to use Wonder Wing freely, but as it stands, we can still just wander around, smash up enemies with it, even the annoying Germuloids, and eventually just sort of potter around, get what we need to. There's another token on top of our sandcastle, which feels very reminiscent of the sandcastle in Banjo-Kazooie, at least in terms of style anyway. If we go up here, we can actually start to work on getting a jiggy. When you're hitting those switches, the pack whack is so much better for it, because when you've got a timer, as I've said, a little bit of extra rage. High on these cliffs, there will be a path to get ourselves a jiggy as we grab a few notes. There we go. We have to be very quick with our shock jumps. But if we get ourselves in the right spot, we should be fine, all things considered. Assuming the consistently respawning enemies don't give us too much trouble. There we are. This one requires a little bit more work to get. Maybe use the Talon Trot just to be on the safe side. Jump over here. And there we go, first jiggy for the area. Probably a good idea to wrap up by doing the Gruntilda fight, in all fairness. As I said, that'll set us up because we do need the transformation for quite a few things. We can also put the mouse to good work getting a few things around Spilliston and in the Bilge Haven. The mouse is the only way we can go inside Castoff's castle. Be really, really careful though, because when you're searching for things in Castoff's castle, it's yellow on yellow. Which is a pain in the backside actually trying to find anything. So, we basically fight Grunty in our Breagle Blaster mode.
Kazooie seems a little bitter. She should be my heavy hitter. Since she stayed by Banjo's arm, I'm going to have to do her harm.
You'll probably want to aim at the top of Gruntilda first off. Each segment takes 3 hits to destroy. Basically, strafe and avoid those attacks of Grunties. And pick up the respawning egg nests as needed. As you can see, I'm a terrible shot. After you wind up hitting her 3 times, which is really 9 times, you will wind up getting Gruntilda to fly. Walk right into that one. Need to wait. We can switch eggs, but it's usually a lot easier.
This jumbo mecha really stinks. A few small holes and it just sinks. But when I meet you in my tower, I won't hold back, I'll use full power.
Granted, Grunty did try and get Kazooie to side with her in Banjo-Kazooie. One of her rhymes being, you side with Banjo, but change tack, imagine you on Grunty's back. Wow, that was a really unfortunate decision. We'll probably head off to Mumbo's and to wind up... First off, we'll show our transformation for this particular level, since that will at least get our health back. Let's head out into the waters.
Banjo have new totem for Mumbo magic. Mumbo hope this turned out alright. Last one do alright, except bear stupidly walk into water. That not very intelligent with candle. Mumbo change Banjo to something now?
So, our new transformation is the Octopus. Much hardier than Banjo, it can survive in grimy or otherwise hostile water.
Mumbo call this Octopus. Use Octopus swimming strength to go in water that harm Banjo. Use A to jump and shoot water jet with B. Mumbo not sure if Octopus good for gardening, but Bear can give it try.
So, our water jet is actually really strong, but it's not really going to help us against the Germuloids. We don't do any extra damage to them. If we're careful, we can go out into the waters of the harbour by landing on that jetty. That pipe is a quick way out of the harbour. There's another coin in here. As we can see, effortless work disposing of shrapnels. And we wind up finding another of the literal little turds on the ship. Hey, mister, you like birds, don't you?
Some of my best friends are birds. Why do you ask?
Maybe you can help me get an ice cream from the ice cream van. When I've got my ice cream, I can get back to my mom.
Pull up a stool and we'll get you an ice cream. That's a bit of a shocker. They knew what they were doing making these things literal turds, basically.
Here you go, sweetie. Hope you like it. It wasn't easy to get.
Thanks very much. I'll tell my mom how nice you were to me. Bye-bye, I give...
Please don't. Please do not actually touch me. Otherwise, I mean, the poisonous water is bad enough, but I'm going to have to decontaminate myself thoroughly after dealing with them. We've got a Jinjo out in the waters. There will be a few notes along the way. And there's a Jiggy. The octopus jumps very well out of the water, which is a little unusual, but also very helpful. We can't quite jump high enough to get out of the harbour under normal circumstances. Have to make sure I get that one note in there, because that one was a little bit awkward. I forgot that last time. So we should be alright, but we'll wind up leaving the actual harbour via this pipe over here, which takes us through the mucky passage. Basically, travel along through this section, destroy the whiplashes and shrapnels, and just cruise along your merry way, picking up any notes we might find, and basically shooting down enemies. I said shooting down enemies. Whoop, some of the shots are not going to be super accurate. Or maybe it's just finicky hitboxes. But either way, this isn't that hard. If you're willing to just fire from a distance, you can usually clear out the enemies with considerable ease. You are fighting the current all the way though, so just be careful with that. I don't know why I keep shooting twice, it's force of habit probably. Whoop, that was close. Pretty leisurely swim in all fairness. We will actually have to do this in the next level too. There's a fair bit more work that can be done with the octopus. Overall, we get a jiggy out of this and we're pretty much all done with the octopus. We can drop into Bilge Haven and get the 5 notes I grabbed if you want, but that's entirely optional. We're pretty much done with the octopus for this level. Might as well go back to being Banjo. And it's probably... well, actually, no, we're not going to be Banjo just yet. Still a bit more magic to do. We'll be heading off to Spilliston and Castoff's Castle in the next one. Thank you very much for joining me. Till next time, this is Red 2, returning to base.